Good evening. Welcome to the Master Cellar Gżira. This is our first virtual wine tasting number 1, which we'll be having every week on Thursday at 6 o'clock. I'm Stefan. Obviously, normally we do it with people, with an audience, but obviously due to the current situation, we have adapted and we'll be doing it live on Facebook every week. Every week we'll have a different thematic, and this week we have Bordeaux blends, and today's is Merlot Bordeaux blends. First wine is an Antonine Noir 2017 from Marsovigne, and the second one is Bordeaux Saint-Emilion Grand Cru Chateaubrun 2016. Two great wines which we'll be tasting together. Starting off with our Antonine Noir, because there's also available in white. This is what we call a classic Bordeaux blend, because it is based on Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc. Bordeaux has these typical grapes, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, but in different proportions, and sometimes Cabernet Sauvignon is more present. This is a classic wine of Marsovigne, one of the most classic wines of Marsovigne, from its single estate in Marnisi, in the south of the island, and it tends to show quite a nice, smoky, robust character. This is 2017, so it's 3 years old already. It's starting to show some characters of age, but we'll look at that very shortly. As we said, Marnisi is in the south of the island, on your way to Marsaxlokk, and has been planted since the mid-90s. Go on to taste our wine. As you see, the color is not as dark. 2017 was quite a hot year, slightly hotter than usual. In fact, rainfall was quite low, I think in the 300 millimeter range. And as you know, in the last few years in Malta did not rain enough. Normally we prefer to have 500, 600 millimeters. But obviously this helps to concentrate the quality. On the nose, the wine tends to show quite a smoky character, quite some nice elements of fruit, but the smokiness and the hints of vanilla show very well as well. Antonine Red, in my opinion, tends to show a slightly more complex character, earthy, much earlier than other wines. It tends to have a very short youthful stage and gets to a certain complexity with aromas of smoke, leather and cedar, and maybe some hints of coffee. But let's go on and taste it. Now on the palate it's slightly different. It's very juicy, very nice berry flavor, mainly red berry flavor. Much more of a fruit element showing on the palate of the wine than on the nose. But they've got a very nice finish, a very good long finish, very typical of Antonine. This is a wine that can age for a good amount of time. Obviously this was a good vintage, so it can age even longer. But on the palate it's still got this youthful nature, of a fruity youthful nature, which will help it to mature further. Very interesting wine, very enjoyable. Obviously this can be compared very easily with some nice bold red meats, maybe some beef fillet, maybe with a nice jus, with a nice reduced jus. That should be quite something sturdy in order to accompany this wine. It may be a small mushroom ragu on the side. Good, that was quite enjoyable, and let's see how it compares to our other Bordeaux blend. Now going to the source of the true Bordeaux. In this case Chateaubrun from 2016 and from the Saint-Emilion region, which is on the right hand side, on the right bank of Bordeaux. We're having a Merlot predominance as well, like Anthony. This is a year older, it's a 2016 as we were saying, but it is showing slightly more youthful. Why? I would say because Bordeaux climate is slightly cooler than Malta's, still can get quite hot, but still slightly cooler, more of a northern, slightly higher northern climate. And Saint-Emilion has quite a nice terroir, perfect and very much known for its wines. On the colour, it's showing slightly more youthful nature, slightly more brighter purple, a light red colour, and it's slightly denser in colour, probably showing that it was a good year, as 2016 was, and maybe a use of more oak in the wine. 2016, as we were saying, was a very good year, like 2015, but maybe slightly a little bit fresher and more modern in style. In fact, some people like James Suckling are calling it the second coming of Bordeaux. Bordeaux in the mid-2000s and 2010s, there was a lot of hype and pricing went practically through the roof, and now it has calmed down a little bit, making it more accessible as well. As most of you would know, Bordeaux is very much susceptible to vintages. There's but a big vintage variation, and there's also a big price change between one vintage and the other. But the good thing about Chateaubrun is that it is quite a good value wine. Let's go and taste the wine and smell it. On the smell, it's much more on the fruit, much more of a fruit character on the smell, but let's see how it compares on the palate. Very much near to the way it smells, much more of a fruit intensity, still showing a very youthful nature, but also showing the grandeur of this vintage, still showing good structure, body, and which can take the wine for a longer time. Good elements of cherry, very typical of Merlot, but with also a good strong backbone, with some elements of wood in the background, which will probably show later on as the wine progresses along the years. Again, another great wine, probably a good match as well with some beef, but it can take maybe some lighter meat dishes, maybe a duck, even with some like a black currant sauce or a red currant, a cherry, something a bit fruitier, a bit sweeter in nature, because this wine has slightly stronger fruit elements. So as we were saying, two great Bordeaux wines with very interesting elements of fruit, still in their youthful stage, which can be enjoyed for many more years. And these are wines which obviously you can buy from the master cellar, also available for delivery, which we're doing across all the island. And it's also on our website, www.mastercellar.com, where you can just book your deliveries and we'll deliver within 1 or maximum 2 days. I hope you've enjoyed our first session together and hope to see you next week. Thank you very much.